sorry, but I'm kind of want to emulate what we actually present at our evaluation meeting. So that's why it is the way it is. I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. Why is it doing that? Sorry. Nope, I don't want that. This. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So I'm Lynn Vass. I'm in the Department of Virology at Mass. And my partner, Denise, do you want to introduce yourself before I get started?
Thank you. I'm Denise Massell, and I am the Educational Programs Manager here in the Urology Department at the University of Wisconsin.
Okay, so we're going to be presenting. I'm going to do the first part. This is evaluating your program. I'm going to do the PEC, and then Denise is going to chime in at the end and do the APE. Okay. Oop, hold on. This is not advancing like I wanted to. Sorry. Okay. All right. So the role of the PEC is to plan, develop, implement, and evaluate educational activities, review goals and objectives. Your action plan should be reviewed and approved by your faculty and documented in your minutes. Address non-compliant areas, review program annually using your evaluations like your faculty, residents, and others. Prepare a written action plan and document initiatives and delineate how it will be measured and monitored. Okay, this is a sample of a PEC agenda. I know it's a lot on this slide. I apologize for that, but I was trying to get it all in there. And basically the main areas, the 6 main areas, and then underneath it are the things that you would put in that area when you're discussing, and I'll show those on the slides coming up. So do your agenda first. The first thing you review is once you've outlined your meeting, you want to go ahead and put together and do a PowerPoint. I do a PowerPoint and put everything on the PowerPoint. I know I've heard in years past that some programs, they had like binders they handed out to everybody at the meetings. We don't do that anymore. And now that we have Zoom, people can pop into the meeting. They don't have to be right there physically. So yes, you need to have a PowerPoint and put everything on it. So you start off with your status report of your previous year APE, your action plans. So our institution, this is their blank corrective plan form that they use, and we fill it in. I don't know if everyone has something similar to this or not, but this drives me crazy. I don't really like this form because I feel like I want to just do a narrative, but they want it all in these little boxes, and they have to all, you know, meet these little, you have to fill it all in. And sometimes like over here, it's not resolved all the way, or you don't know what the date was of this or that. I'm just like, oh, but anyways, we're told to fill it out. And if you see here, our GME office, and I don't know if this is just, I thought it was 80%, but they want 75%, anything below 75% from our surveys, we have to put on here and do an action plan.
That's so your GME office. Yeah, definitely. Because ours is.
Well, I know. And they're, yeah, I know. And it makes me so mad because I want to say, hey, because when I look on our surveys, we don't like, we fell into 80% on everything. I was like, golly, darn it. So I hate when I get those surveys back because I'm like, the first thing I look at is what is our compliance? And then how much work are we going to have to do? I feel like it's like, you know, I take it very personally. So sorry about that. So you know, here we are now at the end of everyone doing the surveys. You want them to do them, but then you want to nudge them and say, hey, don't make a lot of work for us now. Okay, so then evaluation of your program quality, and that would be your last ACURe notification letter that you received. So what I do is I actually copy and paste and put the letter right onto the slide so everyone can see what our letter entailed. And then this is just more of the actual letter because I couldn't fit it on one slide. I wanted everyone to see it. So I just made it 2 slides. Okay, and then you want to review your ACGME online survey from your residents. This is an example. If there's anything that's non-compliant, like I said, my GME wants 75% below to, we have to address. So like this one is an example, process in place for confidential reporting of unprofessional behavior. I hope everyone's got that. But anyways, what I would do is I would put it on a slide, and this would be something that we would address at the meeting. I would break it out and say, hey, we need to talk about this. And then I also include the graphs that is included on your resident surveys. I mean, for the PowerPoint, I think anything that they can be visual and they can look at, it's key. So there's going to be a lot of graphs and charts in here. And this is one, this was the resident overall evaluation and opinion of the program. So you definitely want to show that to your faculty and review that. Then you also want to include, because they have like the 3-year data, and you want to see if there's any kind of fluctuation anywhere, because they monitor the trends for 3 years, and anything that's 10% or greater, that would be a citation. If there's more than a 10% greater decline. So that's something you definitely need to look at and be kind of proactive before they come in and slap your hand. Okay, another thing that they started is the resident surveys now have a well-being that they must ask these questions, because there's actual results that they give us. They say that it's not part of our, you know, they don't really, it's not part of our anything, except they're just giving us the information. It's not something that they hang us on for the other surveys, but this, they just want us to have the information. So it's good to have this and review it with your faculty. This is just a sample of one that's aggregated data from, you know, your program, but it's not our information. It's just all of the programs, urology programs. So that's, but I would put your department stuff in there if you can. Okay, and then faculty survey, same thing. You want to review that with your faculty. Let them know how good they did or not. Look at that. No areas below 75%. Bam. Okay, and again, here's more graphs for the faculty survey. You definitely want to include, same thing, if there's any downward trends, they look at that over a 3-year period. Then you want to have, and I did not put this on the slides, and obviously I'm not going to, if we did not update any of our competency objectives, we're not going, our goals and objectives, we're not going to disperse them out. If there are updates, obviously we're going to discuss that. So then the next category is evaluations. Faculty reports, I usually send them out prior to the meeting, so everyone already knows what their evaluations are. And they're already circulated, so I really don't, you know, we don't present that at the meeting. One thing we do is our rotations. If there's any, you know, the evaluations that the residents do, we want to know how our rotations do, our hospitals, so we add that in there. And then our program evaluations for our faculty and our residents, we put that information. If there's anything glaring, I would put that on a slide. Like this one, have adequate urology subspecialty exposure. Really, I don't think so. That's not, that doesn't even, they should all agree. We got plenty of subspecialty, but if there's anything glaring like that, we would add that. And then any comments I would put on the slide, and see that we have 2 different surveys. One's our resident survey, one's our faculty. Our surveys, our personal surveys, not the, you know, and so they're different questions. So I separate them out, what their answers are. And we had them identify 3 strengths of the program, and I did not make this up. These were already on there, that my name, I got shout out. So I thought, oh, I like that. Now that I have it, I'm like, if I don't have my name in there, I'm going to be upset. And then here's just more comments, an overall impression of our training program. These are answers from the faculty. And then this is how we can improve. And this, we've asked the faculty to identify changes that they would allow them to become more efficient as teachers. Of course, they all say dedicate, more time. Everybody wants more time. And then we have another other category. Okay, so then the next category that we review is the interview statistics. So the AUA gives us statistics, so I definitely put those reports on my PowerPoint. So I'm just gonna, there's a few of them here. So this is one of them. And this is another one.
Okay, dumb question, Lynn, but where do you get those? Because I have never seen those before.
Yeah, okay, when you get your interview statistics, there's all these different reports. One of them is like who you matched with, and then where they matched, and then there's statistics. And they're all in there. They're all embedded in, and I get them all and put them in here. So if you, I can go back and look and see, but they do it every year. And I'll show you some more. So maybe you'll be familiar once you see, maybe when you see these, you'll understand, but they're all when, I don't know, because it's different now with the interview results. They send it to, I mean, they send it to us, me and to the program director, but it's kind of, you got to have these codes. It's not easy. It's not like they just send you an email and you got all these attachments. You have to go into there. You got to have the right passwords to get in, to get and do. And so by the time you get there, you may not even realize there's all these reports is the best I can tell you, but I can go back and clearly, I can surely share these with you. This is not this last year, but I didn't want to update those because, but we did get them. So I'll show you some more. So here's the next thing. There's graphs that they have. So I put these all up on the PowerPoint. They love these little pie charts because they're quick and easy to look at. Here's some more. And this is all from 1 year's worth. So more. But Susan, I can make a note to look for them so I can send them to you.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. I'm writing it down. Hold on. Okay. So then
maybe you could make just a document that we can put in the shared files of how to locate all the reports instead of just sending it to Susan, because there may be a lot of people who don't really realize those are there.
Okay.
Just, maybe some snips and just a little 1-page, whatever.
Okay, sure. Okay, so after that, I then put in my statistics. So this is just what I have that I typed and cut and pasted in there. It was from an Excel spreadsheet, but I guess the lines weren't on there. So I have that. And then from, if any were present at the last presentation I did on Excel, then you can transfer it from Excel to a chart looking like this, which is what they want to see. Oh, look, we had this many here and this many there, and it's just quick and easy to look at. Versus this that you're sitting here looking at. Graphs are always good. So, okay, so next we evaluate the resident performance. So we review the in-service exam. And again, the AUA comes out with reports. Yes, they do. I added in all those numbers. Look how good we did. We got 100% and everything. Look at that. Woo! Okay, so I would put the program director's report in there that shows, how we did compared to the national average. Then I did mark those out because I didn't think y'all needed to see that because it had like the scores of all of our residents, the peers. So that would be the next report you would show. And then they also have this, the year-to-year report, which I think is cool. I just made up these names, obviously, but they have your resident and how they did each year. And then that's your report that you can display to everyone. Okay, so then the next thing we review is
Can I-
milestone evaluate. Yes, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
can I interrupt you for a sec? I'm just
Sure.
curious. So when you have your PEC, do you put that information up with the residents' names in it, knowing that you'll have residents in the meeting with you?
It's not, we'll just have our chief.
DA, okay.
It's only our chief. And at that point, they're ready to, they're on their
Yeah,
way out
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah,
So it's
okay.
not, yeah, I would never have all the residents in there. We wouldn't show that. And actually, we don't like to do that. But this is a good report
Yeah.
because it's like, they want, what happens, I have found during the meeting, they'll be like, I would like to see, how did they do the year before? And then you're like, oh my God. So then you're scratching. So this is something the AUA puts out. So why wouldn't you just have it on your slide? You know, it's like, because I didn't know one year that they were going to want to see how the person did the year before versus this year. So, oh my gosh, you know, and you got to leave the meeting and try to find it. So it's just, you know, it's right there for you. Yeah, definitely. If you find that you're going to have residents or whatever, maybe that's a slide you wouldn't put up and then you would just have, if somebody asked, that you could have in a folder. That would be the option, I would say. Okay, so milestone evaluations for the residents, the report, the ACGME comes out with this. It's the program box plot report. And it's done by the resident year, and this is just an example that that they had for our specialty of urology. And then I would include the resident scholarly activity just from what you put in ADS, just copy and put it in there in your report. And then their patient safety and quality improvement projects, I'd put that in. Okay, and the next, reviewing the resident case log. I would take the last year or the as current as you could. Obviously, it would be the person that just the year before graduated, their case log information in here and to see how we're comparing with the national level. And then they, whoops, sorry. Putting the wrong thing here. And then they also have this report too that they include with the op log. So I put that in because this is like tells you exactly how are they doing. It's a really good visual in each of the categories that they break down in the op log. And then they also have the longitudinal report too, excuse me. That's good too, because it also shows how they're progressing, how the numbers are with the trends. So that's a good report to have in there. Okay, the next we discuss the faculty performance and development. So again, whatever their activity is that we put in ADS, I just copy and put it into the slide. Then I also, the next thing is our faculty development activities, what we did for like that year, what were the topics that everyone was to do. The list of their opportunities, I guess I should say. Okay, the next evaluation of graduate performance. So this is a review of our graduates and their board results. And I just put the letter that we get from ABU in there. And I also include the program director's report. Okay, then the graduate survey. What I usually put the survey, our survey is very lengthy and it has lots of questions. So I basically look and see if they're, you know, positive things, negative things, and anything in particular, because we asked them a lot about the operative experience. Do they feel confident in this area and that area? If that's see anything that's like a heck no or whatever, I'll put that in the report, but I'll put whatever, comments that we need to hear about. I condense it, I guess you could say. Okay, so then the next area is the self-study information. So we go over that just in case we want to revise. So we show our program description. Then program aims, and I just got this from the ACURe website. So these are just, if someone doesn't know how to do aims, there's little examples right there. And then I do programs, activities to advance aims. So I do include that in. And then opportunities for the program. Again, I got these examples from the ACURe website. And then threats. So I guess these are good examples because this is what they're looking at. So if you were trying to figure out if you've got good threats or aims, or these are good things to look at and go, okay, well, I guess we're in line with what they're looking at. Okay, so after the PEC meeting, I do minutes and then I circulate it to all the faculty. So this is not the whole minutes, but this is just an example. So I just basically go through each of the categories like I showed in the agenda and just put in what it is we discussed, or, what was the situation. And now I'm going to turn the floor over to Denise.
All right. Do you want to run the slides for me, or?
Oh.
Do I have
I can just do it.
Okay.
I'll just do it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just tell you when to advance the slide.
I'd love that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So I will talk about the annual program evaluation, which we all refer to as the APE, which is required by the ACURe for all programs. So here I've included the program requirements related to the APE, and just want to let you know that your accumulated APEs will ultimately inform your self-study when and if that becomes a reality. Those have been postponed, so we'll see when and if we actually have to engage in those. But per program requirements, you must distribute your APE to the faculty and residents and then eventually submit it to your DIO. So if we could go to the next slide, please. While the ACURe prescribes what the PEC must address, the APE may differ from institution to institution. The APE is documentation of a program evaluating its performance and plan for improvements. So I generally schedule our PEC meeting for early spring. We tend to do just one, although our DIO is strongly recommending that we do at least 2, if not 4 a year. So we probably will next year. But just by having one in the spring, this allows me a few months to complete my APE prior to our institution's deadline, which is June 15th. Our institution's GME Program Review Committee, which I'm a member of, creates the APE template for all of our programs to use, which is a more detailed version of the ACGME template, which is available on their website. So if you take a look at their website and are just wondering what an APE template looks like, you'll be able to find it just by searching for APE. I then generally complete the entire APE myself and then sit down with my PD to review it before we submit it to the DIO. So we can go to the...
hold on.
Yep.
Wait a minute. So I have some questions.
Yep.
First one is, okay, so if you do more than one PEC meeting, how do you determine? I guess it depends on what information you have at the time, what you're discussing. I mean, or do you do are you going to do many meetings and then one big one that's going to entail everything? You get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying, and I think us personally will do one big one, just like what you discussed and what ours is really, really similar to what you did. I think we will continue to do that. Our DIO actually said to us that you don't even have to have big detailed meetings. She said you could have meetings with your residents that you're probably having now, and I could just take minutes and pretend that it's a PEC meeting, just so that
Okay.
it looks like we have more than one. I know there are programs here, not obviously urology, who have PEC meetings every month and talk about various of those topics. Exactly. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if you can get a bunch of surgeons together like every month, well, God bless you, because I can't. I can barely do it once a year. So this is yep, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
This is the first year that I've actually tried to schedule another one. So I have another one scheduled this fall. We'll see how it goes. And I'm still not 100% sure what we will discuss, but I suspect we will still discuss everything that you guys discuss at our big meeting in the spring.
I get a feeling that the programs that meet every month, and I mean, I could be totally wrong. I think that we all kind of like our departments are all kind of meeting and they're just making it labeling it
Yep.
a PEC meeting. When, I mean, you know, we are all always discussing things about our program and this and that. So, I mean, yeah, you could call it that if you want, but we call it other things, but
Right.
all right.
Right.
So, you know, it's all good. But all right, so then my next thing I have a question on is our APE is in new innovations. I don't know how yours is still is given to you, but it is you know what, a pain. And we started it a couple years ago. And so basically what we do is we go into new innovations and it's almost like you're being interviewed. It's like, okay, here's a question, you have to answer it. And then if you answer this a certain way, well, then it takes you way down. You got to go and do an action thing. And then you got to go back and then, yeah, it's nothing. And so it's on a screen. You don't get the continuity of just a report that you're filling out because it's done like, you know, pre-populated stuff. And so last year, and I've been doing these for how long? Well, I submit them too, you know, and I've gone over it with my program director. Well, this last year, they're like, why did that Dr. McCammon has to submit it? And I'm like,
yeah,
okay. I mean, it's like, well, okay, good luck with that. So then I had to show him how to go in after I've done the whole report in there. I was just kind of like, wow, but it's not very user friendly and I can't stand it.
You know, that's interesting because ours is a Word document our GME office sends out, but they have had just the discussion that and I think a lot of us were just like, no, do not make this any more complicated for us, because really you can copy and paste a fair amount of what you have in your minutes from your PEC into your APE. So don't make it doubly hard for us, and then it just feels like you're doing the same work twice. Because neither one of these things are like small tasks. These are big. Yeah.
I looked back through our APE and it's like 67 or so questions.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not something you can just do like in a day or so, which
Right,
is
no.
okay, fine. But it's very hard. And then another thing is with new innovations, you can put your surveys in there and they want those in there and then it populates into this APE that you're doing. So it all the system knows what your things that you need to be addressing. So it's a whole lot of data that goes in and it just, but it doesn't help us. I mean, it's just there. It's just all centrally located, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of work and very, very painstaking to say the least.
Yes. Yeah, we actually do all of our programs store their APE in MedHub, but we don't actually have to like physically input the data into MedHub. So thank goodness until that day comes, right?
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
next slide.
Yeah, so on the next slide, this is just the first page of our APE template here at the University of Wisconsin. And like Lynn said, ours is really detailed. I think it's 11 pages. you know, when you haven't added all your narratives, so you can imagine what that means once you've added it all. And then on the next slide, this is just from my 2021 APE, and you can see where here, like up where it says evaluations, our institution actually asks us to align it with our aims. So we actually have to create, you know, our aims have to be in this table format, and then you have to number the various aims so that you can align them with each of these narratives here. So every year it becomes more tedious. So we can go to the next slide. And these are the areas that you will likely be asked to address. And as you can see, these align with what Lynn just discussed. So she just kind of walked us through all of this and the various documentation that they use when they discuss these topics at their PEC. So I would say that creating a robust agenda and taking very detailed minutes at your PEC meeting will be incredibly beneficial when it comes time to provide the narrative in the APE. Like I said, you then are able to copy and paste a lot of that information. So we can go to the next slide. And in addition to the items on the previous slide, your institution may ask you to provide other information or policies. This is what Lynn provided to me, and these are additional requirements for programs at EVMS. Here at UW, we are required to update our policies every year, and they ask us that in the aims, and we have to say yes or no. We are asked to attach a program metrics and program improvement tracking spreadsheet, which is similar to what Lynn showed in the beginning of the of her slides. And then all of this information just helps sponsoring institutions ensure that program requirements are being met. So we can go to the next. Yep, go ahead.
They're crossing all their T's and dotting all their I's. That's what they're
Exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
Ahead of time, so then they don't have to track us down to give them the stuff. They've got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is just an example timeline that I put together for my own benefit. I actually have a folder entitled Annual Program Evaluation that I fill with documents I know I will need to reference when creating my PEC agenda, and then that I may need when I'm putting my APE together. So here is just a list of the items that I save to the folder each year and kind of when I do save them. So I find it's much easier to have these items on hand than to have to go back into these various databases or back through your emails to find the information. Just like when we were talking about the information we get from the match, I find that system and logging into that AUA website to be like obnoxious. And so like Lynn was showing you all of those reports, I save everything that's in there, whether I think I'll ever need it or not. And a lot of times I will save it like into a match folder, but then I'll also save it into my APE folder so that I know when it's this time of year, it's there to look at. So, and you can see these are just some of the things, like we all know we'll get our in-service exam reports in like December. I just save everything from that. Like Lynn had talked about the program director report, save a copy of that in your APE folder as well. And then on the next slide is just a really long list of the documents that I save. And again, very similar to what Lynn was talking about. You know, when your notification letter comes to you from the ACGME, save it. Just save it in that file. You can locate it in ads. It's there for you all the time, but then you don't have to log into it. It's just always in the folder for you. Same with like your outcomes from last year's APE, any of your evaluations that you want to save. Like Lynn said, your scholarly activity out of your ads. Just, you know, save as much of that information as you possibly can in a folder to help you at the end. And then lastly, on our last slide here, are just, yep.
I'm trying. Hold on.
No, it's okay.
Right there.
Are a few of the tips to help make the APE process easier to manage. And I really can't stress enough how important it is, at least for me, to have detailed PEC minutes to help prepare for your APE. Like I said, copy and paste is your friend. You know, don't feel like you have to, like, again, write a whole new book when you're doing your APE, because you've just done all of that work when you were putting together your PEC minutes. I find having the documents I will need to reference close at hand to be invaluable. Knowing where to find these documents is really half the battle. I would, and we said this like twice now, I would especially recommend saving all of the items that the AUA makes available to you on match day, and likewise with the ISE reports when you get those when they're posted. So don't recreate the wheel. Use your PEC minutes to drive the narrative for your APE, which will eventually aid you in completion of your ADS updates in the summer and early fall. So just kind of think of it as a cycle. As you know, you started with the PEC and now you have the information added to the APE. You'll probably, you know, I don't know when your institutional deadlines are, but you'll probably be sending that to your DIO maybe in the summer, and then your ADS stuff will open up and it will be time to use a lot of that information when you're filling out those updates. And then lastly, never be afraid to ask a colleague for help. ACURe members are always happy to answer questions or provide examples. And I think sometimes just seeing what somebody else put, you know, what their narrative is kind of like all you need to kind of make you go, aha, yes, we have this, and this is now what how I'm going to answer these various questions. So that is all I had. And if you guys have any questions, we would be happy to go over anything.
So I do have a comment, and I like your stressing on several times about as soon as you have the document, go ahead and put it in your folder, your evaluation folder, your program evaluation folder. The other thing you need to think about too is if you don't do that and then say you want to go and get it, sometimes systems are down and then you can't get it. So you're better doing it while you have it there than versus thinking, oh, I'm just going to go back and do it at another time, because things don't always go as planned and then you can't get to it for whatever reason. You can't log in to get it or whatever. So I say yes to that. It's a very good tip. The best tip for the day.
So I'm just curious when your deadlines are. Are we kind of in the same ballpark? Like ours is June 15th, because at our institution, you wouldn't believe the fights, but the arguments people get in over this. And ours seems to shift every year for some reason. And it's like, just leave it alone. You know, there's never going to be a perfect deadline date.
I'm actually kind of surprised that you guys are so early, because I have to have mine in by the end of June and sometimes not even till mid-July.
Okay.
Because they want us to have like all the milestones done, all the evaluations done. So that has to wait till after the graduates are evaluated, and they don't even expect us almost till instead of June 15th, July 15th.
Yeah.
So ours is a little later.
Well, and ours are even later. I mean, trying to get everyone together in the summertime is impossible. So a lot of times we don't even have our meeting until August. We have September, October to get our APE in, and ADS is right around that time too. So it's kind of like, you know, and graduation's June, so that's not a good time for us. July is when everybody starts, so we tend to do August sometimes, you know, so.
Our DIO actually was my chairman when I was in the anesthesiology department, and she very much is a perfectionist. So it doesn't, you know, I think she likes things to be done, and so that the institution can kind of check it off their list. So I completely understand. None of this surprises me, and I'm okay with it. I mean, you know, I'm used to it now, and I know what I have to do when I have to do it. So.
Well, up until a couple of years ago, they weren't even involved in the whole, they now have to endorse it. And so, you know,
Yeah.
But before then we were doing what we wanted to do. And so I don't know that that has really changed. These guys are going to do when they're going to meet what they're going to meet. You know, no one's saying, oh gosh, you have to meet in August.
Right.
You know, or whatever, but yeah.
So I'm giving a talk on ADS updates at our GME retreat, which has me incredibly freaked out, let me just say. But I'm just curious, do you all, the coordinators, do the bulk of this work?
Absolutely.
Okay, that is what I suspected. So good to know.
But I can tell you, I do know
And don't worry,
coordinators
Denise,
that
you're
they
gonna
don't
knock it
do
out of
it.
the ballpark.
But I know that other programs, I think it's half and half, because I do know some coordinators here at my school, they don't do any of that. That's their program director goes in there and they're like, do it. And I'm like thinking,
My
wow.
dream. My dream.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
even know if my program director even knows how to log.
Right.
in.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, when NRMP took the ability for us to be able to submit our match list away, that was hurtful. And now the
Oh.
AUA has obviously done that as well. And I'm like, this could just all go so poorly. I mean, and clearly there were issues that forced them to do that, but I don't know.
It took
I
one
think,
bad apple,
right.
right? to
Yeah,
make it
I
bad for
think it
all of
was
us. And it's
short-sighted.
same thing with the APE. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? You want them now? They have to submit.
Right.
Okay, whatever.
Right.
Believe me, I'm not putting my name on it. I know that everything that I've put in the APE, that it's been endorsed, but whatever. Okay, that's what you want.
Yeah, I think that's why they finally want to do an actual, because we have never done a PEC ever.
Really?
I put together the ADS, and their PEC meeting was the June faculty meeting. And they would
Oh.
say, did everybody read this? Okay, what'd you think? We're good. And that was it.
Yeah.
So this is going to be my very first PEC meeting.
Interesting.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, if you actually really, Susan, if you actually do one and you're there, it actually is a good drill, and it's a good lift me up for the program to hear these faculty have been working hard for them to really see all the things that have gone into their contribution and all. I think it's a good drill. I mean, so it's a good positive thing, unless you just got a bunch of negative in your program. Just trying to get everyone together. Once you get them together and they see all these things like what we just showed, it makes you feel good. Look what we've done, what we're doing. You know, it's like, this is why we're all doing this, and this is why they like to do it, you know?
Hopefully.
It's the outcomes. It's the outcomes to see the results.
Yeah.
And it's good for the faculty to hear things like, you know, I don't know that anybody ever says to them, we feel like we never get on the robot console. You know, they don't hear that. And so to see that in writing, I think some of them are like, what? Because if you would ask them, they would say all the time, I'm letting them on the console constantly. So,
Right.
you know, and I don't think our residents are lying to us in these evaluations. So I think it really is good for the faculty to hear some of this stuff and to see what the PD and the PC and the APDs have to do all year long.
Or not do and have their assistants do it for them.
But I think it makes them more mindful of things that they do too, when they see what the effect it has, and then to see it up on a screen too, you know, that's a whole nother level of they're looking, and like the things that their input that they put in on a survey is going up there on the screen that people are seeing too. So it's a whole lot of good stuff, that it's good that we are doing this. So it's just a pain that we all can't just have one thing and one system. It's all these different things. And it's every year, and it's nonstop. Like we can't catch a break.
Exactly. But that was a fabulous presentation, ladies. Thank you very much. It was very helpful, at least for me. So I appreciate it.
Especially since you want us to do your PowerPoint now?
Can you?
I can do a PowerPoint.
You're working on it.
I'll just cut and paste in there and put a few little graphs in there, and they'll just be like, woo.
Exactly. Yeah, that's gonna be entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'll totally take you up on that, and I'll just send you the info. Thanks.
I'll be happy to send you the stuff that we talked about, how to
Please,
get in
that would
and
be
do the
marvelous.
interview.
I really appreciate that too.
Okay, and if you're working on yours and you've feels, you know, you don't know where to get or do whatever, just reach out to one of us because we'll help you.
They
Sure.
obviously don't ask me because I didn't even know it was there.
I'm talking about other things that you're going to add when
Okay,
you
yeah,
add
there
to
we
your
go. Then I can
presentation.
start.
If you have other things that you're like, or whatever, because I mean, it is interesting how all these things and where do you find them all, and it is overwhelming. If you're new in your position, I totally would understand that. So.
Absolutely.
So you all have been with urology much longer than I have. I'm just curious, do you ever think the match will become an NRMP match opposed to the urology specific? Because I don't quite understand why we have an early match.
I think it'll eventually will. I
Yeah,
think it eventually will. I think we're getting to that point, and that's fine. You know, to keep
Yeah.
everything uniform, because you think about like even like the rotations of the students,
Yeah.
we have to start them early. So our
Yeah.
school has to give us stuff early because they're doing it and it's nice. But I think to be uniform, I think eventually, like everything else, they just clump us all.
well, I
It
don't know about
probably will.
you guys, but I feel a little bad for the students that they don't, you know, there isn't that hype. They aren't a part of that match hype that
Right.
all of the other ones are. It's sort of like they hold up their thing. Oh, but I knew this months ago.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
No, in a way, I kind of hope, on the one hand, I love it because then I'm done,
Yeah,
you
right.
know, but on the other hand, I feel bad for them. We would have more time. There'd be more time for them to come to rotations, AIs, and,
Yep.
you know, they wouldn't have the problem of, do my dates match your dates? And
Hey, do y'all remember the year that the match, they gave out the match results and then they rescinded and did it again, and it affected some people that were match places that didn't. I don't know what happened with how it
I
happened.
vaguely
Why?
remember that. That was a while ago.
It wasn't that long ago because I remember it.
I just
I mean,
vaguely
it wasn't like
remember.
2 years ago. It was a few years ago, but it was like, wow. Like,
And that was crazy. Fortunately, it didn't affect any of our guys.
and the same thing with the in-service one year. Didn't they do that with the
Yeah.
in-service? Something happened there and they ended up redoing whatever. And you're just like, what is going on here? And I'm just thinking about the AUA and, you know, we're paying money for this. I think it's a money thing, but I don't know if they would, as far as the match, it's a very good question. I know Dr. McCammon and I have kind of asked that to each other before, you know, do you think? And he said, eventually, yeah, we'll probably be in the national match.
I was just always curious why. Well, like when I came here, I was just sort of astounded, I think, because the NRMP feels very powerful to me. And the fact that this felt a little bit loosey-goosey, to say the least, the AUA match. So I was just a little surprised.
But you know what's so funny is when we take the tag meet, how we have lots of questions on the residency
NRMP.
match,
Right.
and I know zero about it. And it's like pages. I don't know how many hundreds of pages is it material, and you're
it's a
just reading it. I'm like, I don't understand any of this. I don't care to know, but okay.
Right. When
Yeah,
it
it's a
becomes
whole
part of what we have
process.
to do, then it's going to be relevant. But right now, why are you putting it on my tag me? It's stupid.
Well, because they want to keep it generic as far as it used to be. I don't know, Denise, did you take it when it was urology specific? Because I had special credentials in urology.
Anesthesia for me, yeah, I did. Twice
Oh,
I
you
took
did?
it was anesthesia specific, and yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and they've talked about maybe going a little bit back to that if you choose that, you know, you want to have that subspecialty or whatever. But I don't know, maybe not in my lifetime. Because I'm certified for a while, so I don't know. Well, Denise is really certified for a while.
I am, yeah.
So to what year?
I'm looking on the wall here, 2026.
I keep looking at like, when is our site visit? Because they pushed us back. I keep looking at that going, huh? Am I gonna
And
be here
Do
for that?
not jinx that, Lynn. Mine still has not moved, so do not jinx it.
I know that sounds horrible, but it's like, you know,
I would be so okay with never having another site
Exactly.
visitor.
Exactly. Agreed. Never had one, don't ever want one.
really? Are you serious? Oh my gosh, can I tell
Absolutely,
you all a really
100%
funny
serious.
story? I'm going to tell you a really, really funny story because I have been through quite a few site visits. And that was like, because I've been in my position a very long time. So there you go, right? So that stands to reason. I'll never forget. And our chairman and program director is Dr. Shellhammer, loved him to death. He's, you know, he's like he's the godfather of prostate cancer. He's like, you know, he's been the president of the AUA. So he's like a big shot. Here comes the site visitor coming in, and our office was set up. They wanted to have a special conference room. We didn't really have that for the site visitor, and he just wanted them to come in his office and do whatever. They did that. The site visitor stood right there and says, I need a table and da da da. He got out of his office, went to a conference room and rolled a table in and laid it right in front of his office. And I sat there and I was like, whoa. And then I shut the door and I thought, this is not going off very good. It was like,
I had a site visitor sit at my desk and say, now come over here and stand behind me, and I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff that you can look around and find in ADS. And I was just like, what in the hell is happening right now? And the guy was like 95 years old, I swear to God. I'm like, what?
I mean, I could have
We
felt a
missed
pin
you.
drop. I could have literally felt a pin drop. He was so upset. I've never seen him upset. He was so upset at that site visitor. And I thought, oh my gosh, don't get the site visitor upset because we want to get
Don't ever
want
mess
good
with the
marks.
site visitors. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, it was something. I was just like, so you know, we've seen it all. And I think that the visitors are a lot different now than they were back in the day.
Yeah.
And they got a bad evaluation from us from that person for sure. I sure don't think that person stayed in the position, but
Yikes.
so anyways, so I was looking in the chat to make sure there weren't any questions or whatever. So I guess if we don't have anything else, no other questions, or we're good. We're all ready. We're ready to
We're
go
all set.
tackle our PEC and our APEs.
Yay. Especially after you do my slideshow.
Just give me all your stuff.
Yay.
I don't charge too much.
Very
Did I
good.
miss it?
Yes.
Hey, yes.
Yeah, but we recorded it.
Okay,
So
great.
we'll send you the recording. Plus, we'll be putting it on the YouTube channel.
Okay, great. I thought it was on
You
at
can-
10.
Yeah.
It should have been at 9, huh?
Aw.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
those
right,
you can
because
burn
we had
time
our,
changes.
yeah, we had our time change. So yeah.
Yeah.
Another reason why that should go away.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it definitely should.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you very much. Wishing you
Thank
all
you.
happy Easter Bunny Bunnies. May the bunny be good to all of you.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Rosemary,
Thank you.
for 2 minutes.